Gotcha. Hey, good evening. It's a little bit after 5 o'clock. Welcome to the Tulsa City Council meeting. You can view this meeting on our Facebook page, our YouTube channel, Cox Channel 24, or at tgovonline.org. Assisting the council tonight are Jack Blair, Lori Doring, and Chris Boffman. If you wish to speak on an agenda item, please see Chris. Chris has cards over there. You have to fill out that card before the agenda item is read in order to speak. Please join us in pledging allegiance to the United States and remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you all. You may be seated. No proclamations, no special presentations. People wishing to speak on an agenda item are limited to 5 minutes total per meeting. Public input is a time for members of the public to provide insight on the agenda item. Due to the meeting format, public input is not a time for a question and answer period. All comments should be relevant to the agenda item and directed to the council. We use a fancy electronic timing system here. Green light means you have 5 minutes and counting down to 30 seconds when you'll get a yellow light, and then a red light means you're out of time. Please be very observant of that. Councilor Gilbert is the timekeeper, and she'll let you know when you have 20 to 30 seconds left. Please keep the podium area, railings, and aisles free from recording devices and tripods. Recording equipment and accessories, including tripods, must be set up in the media center as posted on tonight's agenda. Certain items are subject to consideration and possible approval, adoption, denial, amendment, or revision. Public comment will be taken on agenda item 6A, and action may be taken on first reading. I call this meeting to order. Please call the roll.
Counselor Hall Harper.
Here.
Counselor Archie.
Here.
Counselor Dutton.
Present.
Counselor Gilbert.
Here.
Counselor Bengal.
Here.
Counselor Dr. Wright.
Here.
Counselor Lakin.
Here.
Counselor Bush.
Here.
Receipt and filing of minutes of regular meeting held at 4 on June 4th, 2025, and minutes at 5 on June 4th, 2025. Do we have any speakers?
We have no speakers.
Any council discussion?
Move to approve items 1A and B.
Second. Please call the roll.
Counselor Dr. Wright. Counselor Lakin.
Yes.
Counselor Bush.
Yes.
Counselor Hall Harper.
Yes.
Counselor Archie.
Yes.
Counselor Dutton.
Yes.
Counselor Gilbert.
Yes.
Counselor Bengal.
Here. Counselor, yeah. Items 1A and B are approved. 2 appointments and reappointments, no items, no public hearings, mayor's items. The mayor's not with us tonight. I'm going to recuse on 4B through T.
The remaining items 4B through 4T will not be read aloud. However, public comments will be received on these items. Do we have any speakers?
We have 2 speakers. First on items 4H, L, M, and Q, Mr. John Huffines.
Good evening, Mr. Huffines.
Good evening. Come back on. Peace. Yes, peace. Thank you to our honorable city leaders, Mayor Monroe Nichols, Council Chair Phil Lakin, councilors, staff, and team. You are much appreciated. And of course, we're thankful to the rest of the citizens of this great city of love, Tulsa, Oklahoma. I'm glad to be with you on this 25th day of June in the year of our loving Lord, Jesus Christ, 2025. Mayor's item H, a travel donation for the chief of our excellent police department, Chief Dennis Larson, to travel to San Antonio, Texas this month to attend a Chiefs Leadership Development meeting. Almighty God, we invoke your guidance for Chief Larson and for our honorable mayor and councilors. Mayor's item L, a special event application, Folds of Honor Freedom Fest, presented by Quick Trip, scheduled for July 4th, 2025, at 2300 South Jackson Avenue. Folds of Honor brings hope to families who have had a family member who gave their life for our freedom. As we honor our Star-Spangled Banner, our American flag, we are honoring those who have given their lives for us to be able to meet like we are, and we also honor their families. Folds of Honor has now been extended to include families of our first responders who have had a family member give their life to help keep us safe. Thank you, counselors, in advance for saying yes to this agenda item. I'm grateful for this Freedom Fest honoring our flag, our freedom, and Americans and families who have contributed to us being free. Mayor's item M, a special event application, New Haven UMC United Methodist Church, 4th of July Bike Parade, scheduled for July 4th, 2025, starting at 5600 South New Haven Avenue. Methodists have hearts of love for God and persons. Let's say yes to this application, yes to these folks interested in helping and lifting our Tulsa family, creating positive community. This bike parade is to begin at New Haven United Methodist Church. The name of Jesus, the Son of God, is exalted here, and his love is shared at this church. Methodists are awesome people and are a great asset to our community. Let's say yes to this special event, the 4th of July parade, where they will have entertainment and live music from the New Haven Praise Band, and they will have inflatables. Mayor's item Q, a special event application, All-American Fireworks, scheduled for July 2nd, 2025, starting at 1905 West 51st Street, Carbondale Assembly of God Church. On the website, they let us know that we believe the Bible is inspired by God and will not fail. We believe in one true God revealed in three persons, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. We believe Jesus was born of a supernatural birth, lived a sinless life, suffered an undeserved death, resurrected after 3 days, and ascended to the right hand of the Father. Mayor's item S, Tulsa's Farmers Market of a special event application. Tulsa's Farmer Market, a special event application. Yes, Tulsa Farmers Market scheduled for July 2nd, 5th, 9th, 12th, 16th, 19th, 23rd, 26th, and the 30th. This is at 1 South Lewis Avenue. It is great to see fresh foods for our bodies being provided. Also, it's great to know as we read God's inspired word, the Holy Bible, his Spirit and his words provide us with fresh, nutritious food for our hearts and souls. Yes, thank you, counselors, for always doing your best to help Tulsa be her best. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you, family.
Next speaker.
Next speaker is on item 4B, Evan Taylor.
Good evening.
Hello. Thank you for your time today. First, before I begin my comments, I just want to say I do appreciate the efforts of TPD and everything they do for our city. There are outstanding officers that are exempt from everything that I'm about to say, but I just want this to go notice, especially within the city council here, particularly a lot of items that are being involved here and a lot of taxpayer dollars that are being used for actions of this police department and individuals who were not suited for the positions that they were in.
You need to bring up your item that you signed up to
Sorry.
speak on. Okay.
Sorry, yep.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so, and that was with 4B, and the $30,000 for the Freedom of Information Act. To me, this is a very frustrating matter. This is a simple matter of communication. Honestly, an email that was missed or just ignored completely cost the city $30,000. That is absolutely ludicrous, and you can define that however you want, as the person was defending the officer and the issues that were being addressed. But I want to address the fact that not only did the person that responded, were they wrong when they said that a subpoena was needed for this, for the release of the information. That is completely false. So that in itself is negligence. And then not to mention all the actions that have proceeded after this event, but in regards to just this fine itself, I think it is ridiculous that the taxpayers are paying $30,000 just because a person didn't want to provide information, and B, that they wanted to take as long as they did to provide the information. And I understand why. You know, when you read the documents and what was presented in the case, and I won't do that here, but I highly encourage everyone to look up in these cases and what brought these cases about. Because like I said, these are, you know, our tax dollars that are going to be used to pay off these cases. And so look into why are these officers acting the way they are, and let's address why that's happening. Like I said, this is not all TPD. These are individuals that can be addressed and should be addressed in the hiring process or in a review process, something. And what's very frustrating to me as well, and this will be my final comment, when you go into how TPD addressed the actions of the officers that occurred within the incident that led for the release of information, TPD said that the officers all acted in a way in which the call was handled within the policies of the Tulsa Police Department. This is a mental health case, like I said. I won't get into the details. I do not believe that this was handled properly at all. And I would highly encourage our police department to review their policies if they accept this kind of behavior with a mental health person that's trapped inside of a bathroom needing help. We don't need to make comments that say, I'm excited about this event. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
We have no more speakers?
Okay. Council discussion.
Move to approve items 4B through 4T with the emergency clause on 4B through 4D.
Second?
Lori, please call the roll.
Counselor Dr. Wright?
Yes.
Counselor Bush?
Yes.
Counselor Hall Harper?
Yes.
Counselor Archie?
Yes.
Counselor Dutton?
Yes.
Counselor Gilbert?
Yes.
Counselor Bengal?
Yes.
Okay, items 4B through 4T are approved with the emergency clause on 4B. And now, Counselor Lakin is.
Item 5, rezoning application Z7815 from RS3 with an ODP for property located north and west of the northwest corner of East 11th Street South and South 193rd East Avenue. Do we have any speakers?
We have no speakers?
Council discussion.
Move to approve item 5A.
Second, please call the roll.
Counselor Dr. Wright?
Yes.
Counselor Lakin? Yes. Counselor Bush?
Yes.
Counselor Hall Harper? Yes. Counselor Archie?
Yes.
Counselor Dutton?
Yes.
Counselor Gilbert?
Yes.
Counselor Bengal?
Yes. Item 5A is approved. 6, ordinances first reading. Item 6A will be read aloud and voted on separately. A, ordinance amending Tulsa Revised Ordinances Title 27, titled Penal Code, Chapter 28, titled Curfew Hours for Juveniles, adding downtown curfew hours applicable in the Central Business District from June 26th, 2025 to midnight March 31st, 2026, as presented here, providing for severability, repealing conflicting ordinances, etc. Do we take speakers now? We have to see if, yep, okay. Well, let's see first if we have a motion requesting waiver of city charter, council rules, and order of business.
Why are we taking this out of order?
Because we don't even know if we're going to hear it. If we don't waive city charter, council rules, and order of business, then there is no need to take any public comments.
Because it would be first reading?
Yes.
But we just took comments on first reading
On
over
what?
here. On first reading, we just took comments.
Where? This is a first reading. This is ordinance's first
4B
reading.
through 4, right here, Counselor. 4B
Yeah,
through
we-
T will not be read aloud, however, public comments will be
Yeah,
received.
those aren't first readings, though. I mean, those,
Oh, on the mayor's items?
yeah, that's what we do every
So if we're
week.
not taking it today, this is considered first reading and it'll be second reading on the 16th?
That would be my understanding,
Okay, thank you.
yes.
Move to waiver city charter, council rules, and order of business, and requesting approval and adoption on first reading.
Do we want to take that last part separately? Or do you want to?
I was told the whole thing.
So if we can, if that's your motion, but
I have a counter motion if that's the motion,
Okay,
Chair.
so you just want to take this in parts where requesting waiver of city charter, council rules, and order of business.
yes, because as we discussed, there may be some amendments to this as proposed, even as it's written here in A. So if
Okay.
that's your motion,
So that's my motion.
is there a second?
Second.
Any council discussion? Please call the roll.
Counselor Dr. Wright?
No.
Counselor Lakin?
Yes.
Counselor Bush?
Yes.
Counselor Hall Harper?
Yes.
Counselor Archie?
Yes.
Counselor Dutton?
No.
Counselor Gilbert?
Yes.
Counselor Bengal?
Okay, so that motion passes, so we have waived this city charter, council rules, and order of business. So now what is before us is essentially the second reading of this, and we will take speakers at this time and then enter into council discussion. So how many speakers do we have?
We have 12 speakers, 4 for the item, 5 against, and 3 undecided.
Okay. In that case, it just feels like everybody needs up to 5 minutes. Does anybody have any other attitude toward that? Okay.
Attitude.
Any other opinion? Is that the wrong word? It's just the first word that came in my brain.
Should it be every other of like a 4 against,
There's no
undecided?
against, it's just 4 and undecided.
Oh, undecided, oh,
I
there's no
think
one
since
against it?
we just waived the
We-
city
I don't-
charter, council rules,
We
and
have
order of
5
business.
against and 4
Yeah, it's-
for the measure and 3 undecided.
Right, that's what he said. I think we just do it in those, just do it in those clumps, and we'll be fine. Unless anybody has a different attitude about that. Okay, call our first speaker.
First speaker, Casey Bradford.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Casey Bradford. I'm here to talk about item 6A in regards to the juveniles that have been terrorizing our downtown district for the last 2 years. I spent the last several days, several months actually. We had an initial meeting with the mayor and Chief Larson, Councilman Archie was there, and several others, where we brought this issue to light after the May 3rd shooting. And this would have been May 5th, and we sat down and we started expressing that we didn't want to go through the same thing year after year after year that we have been doing for the last several years. And we were given a lot of lip service about how we can't enforce the curfew that's currently in place for fear of inciting a riot. Those were Chief Larson's words. The businesses were asked to shut your doors and windows so the juveniles wouldn't loiter outside of your buildings. And that would solve the problem. That maybe we should change the style of music that the bars are playing, because that might curb the issue of these juveniles being downtown past hours. And unfortunately, no matter what we're going to do, without the police department being able to enforce the curfew laws that are in place, even going to a 9 p.m., and I'm 100% in support of this, but we need TPD to have the ability to enforce the laws that are in place, and we need a plan of action. Go down to Bricktown. I contacted Oklahoma City Police Department and asked them how they cleaned up Bricktown, and they had an immaculate plan on how they did it, and it has been effective, and their violence and crime that's happening in Bricktown has diminished. Yet here we sit today, not after 1 shooting, or 2, or 3, or 5. We continue to have the same problems over and over, where hundreds, quote, hundreds of juveniles, my News Channel 6, hundreds of juveniles fleeing shooting scenes in Tulsa. Hundreds of juveniles. And you mean to tell me you're against the policy that's going to get these kids off the streets? And I understand a $200 fine is a $200 fine, but a $200 fine is a heck of a lot better than another dead kid in the streets. And that's what we're facing. Bars are down anywhere between 50 and 70% in sales right now. I spoke to several of them today, asking them what we were going to do. And the bars are collectively coming together for the first time in 6 years that I've been down here to come up with solutions, because we can't trust TPD or the city to actually take action to solve the problems. And I'm getting frustrated. We're all getting frustrated. Bar owners are carrying around guns because that's our legal right. Bar owners are carrying around mace because that's our legal right, and we're having to use it. I'm having to take care of the juvenile delinquency issues on my own because TPD won't enforce the juvenile curfew laws that are in place. And I shouldn't be having to mace a 16-year-old when he bows up and starts swinging. That's not my job. My job is to make money for the city, provide a great experience, and an opportunity for people to come to the heartbeat of Tulsa. And yet we see this over and over again, year after year, with absolutely no change. And we're here today, finally, after 2 months of me banging my head against a wall and calling everybody that I possibly can, to finally have the opportunity to change this. And I'm not saying this curfew is the end-all be-all. This is step one. There's a lot more that needs to happen. There's a lot more policy that needs to come down. There's a lot more things that we can do. We need to go mimic Beale Street or Broadway and see what they're doing to curb the violence. I know Tulsa sent some TPD officers to Nashville to look into this. We're sending Chief Larson down to San Antonio, from what the individual earlier said. San Antonio's got a phenomenal policy on this. What I don't understand is how we have one of the best police forces in the entire country. Homicide rate of 100%. We solved 100% of our homicides last year. But we can't solve the issue of our children getting a hold of guns and shooting each other. Larson said 883 guns were taken. Illegal guns were taken. How many people did they catch from human trafficking, and how many drugs did they take off the streets? And yet we can't get our children off the streets and out of the areas where they shouldn't be. I've got a 14-year-old. Love that kid to death. We had a 14-year-old shot. That's my son's age. My son is a young and amazing and potentially incredible human being that's going to do something awesome in his life. But that 14-year-old no longer gets that opportunity because we relax in our laws, we relax in enforcing them, and here we sit having this conversation that we should not have been having because it could have been solved on May 1st when we brought it up then. This isn't a knee-jerk reaction. And I've heard that over and over as I call councilmen and women, and I've heard this as I talk to the city and the people around it. This is a knee-jerk reaction because of what happened on Juneteenth. We've been fighting for 2 months about these kids.
Mr. Bradford, you have 30 seconds
Thank
left.
you. 2 months. And we're finally in a position where we are going to have this come to a vote. And I understand this is not the perfect example or the perfect solution, but this is a start. And if we're not willing to start somewhere and show the city that we're here to protect not only the people down here to enjoy it, but the kids, I mean, what are we even doing here? Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Next speaker is Jack Seawright.
Good evening.
I'd just like to see if you've considered other places in Tulsa. At 129th and Admiral, there was a large gathering there. Shots were fired, people running over razor wire. Again at 15th and Denver. So, you know, this is not the only place that this is taken, and I hope you discussed that when you had your meetings. And how many can gather without a permit, and can you enforce that? So they can leave downtown and go to another neighborhood and the same thing happens. So, and not even at juveniles. This is over 18 that's gathering in these large crowds like this. And it's going to become more and more of a problem. So I would like to consider the large groups that's forming, not even juveniles. It seems like we've targeted in on just juveniles, but there's more than juveniles out there in these gun battles. So I'd like for you to consider those places, and what will you do if they start going to another place together? Thank you.
What
Thank
was your
you.
name once again?
Jack Seawright. Yes.
Seabright?
Seawright.
Seabright?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker.
Next speaker is J. Elliott Nelson.
Good evening, councilors. Thanks for having me. My name is Elliot Nelson. I am the founder and CEO of McNally's Group. We own and operate 10 restaurants in downtown Tulsa, 6 of which are in the Blue Dome District. Also done a lot of real estate development. We just finished Santa Fe Square at the corner of the 2nd and Elgin. I'm not armed or have mace, so I don't know if maybe I'm doing this wrong. But I will tell you that the issues we have faced over the past, I would say 3 years. And 2022 is really when we see things start to ramp up. A lot of young kids started coming downtown, loitering, riding four-wheelers through the streets, riding horses through the streets. I mean, Fridays and Saturday nights, especially Saturdays, and the Blue Dome District specifically, became chaos. And we started asking for help a long time ago. This is not new. This is not immediate. It is not a gut reaction to something that just happened. This has been an ongoing issue on the east side of downtown for several years now. And we've seen, I pulled the numbers today just so I knew, Yokozuna, which is at the corner of 2nd and Detroit, which is really where this started, we have seen our sales post 9 p.m. dip 70% since 2022. So, and that's a loss of, this year it'll be a loss of about $500,000 in revenue for us, which is a loss of tax revenue. I'd also like to say that we've lost employees. We have people who don't feel safe working downtown anymore because of some of these activities. We have employees who don't feel safe leaving on their own anymore. We've had people leave. We have residents that are leaving, and I know now that our downtown multifamily housing is experiencing some like historic lows from when we started this big boom, 10, 15 years ago. And so as residency decreases downtown, a lot of which is an output of some of this activity, we'll start to see ad valorem rates decrease as the properties are worth less because they're less occupied, which will be another hit to city budget. I just think there's such a long tail to all of this activity and all of the issues that I know it seems very immediate right now and reactionary, but the problems create so many issues for businesses, for investment, for the vision that we have all had for downtown Tulsa. And I've been going to that neighborhood every day for 22 years, and I am in it, and I believe in it, and we need help. And we've never needed help more than we need it right now, and we started asking for help a couple of years ago, and we still haven't gotten it. And I will echo the other speaker in that we know this is not going to solve everything. We know this is not the final piece, but we have to take action. We have to take action quick, because the longer we delay action, the longer we wait to find the perfect answer, the more issues that we're going to have and the more deterioration we're going to have in our businesses and our investments. And it's just at some point going to become unsustainable. And so I'm just here to ask you all for your help. You guys have helped us before. Keep downtown Tulsa moving forward, and I hope you help us again. Thanks.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Next speaker is Brian Kurtz.
Good evening.
Good evening, councilors. Brian Kurtz, CEO of Downtown Tulsa Partnership. Appreciate the opportunity to engage with you all again. And thank you for your dialogue and exchange earlier today during the Urban Economic Development Committee meeting. I expressed at that point in time, Downtown Tulsa Partnership is in support of this emergency action. We're seeking to institute a temporary revised curfew for downtown. I think both all the three prior speakers spoke eloquently about the issues that exist within our downtown. I think this is a pilot. This is a means of protecting individuals, youth, residents, visitors, employees, people who are in downtown 24 hours a day, 7 days a week across the spectrum of age. I have to reemphasize, this is not a knee-jerk reaction to Juneteenth, what happened on Saturday, to what happened at the Airbnb over in Riverside, or the warehouse in East Tulsa. This is not a simple ask. This is not a simple solution. It kills me to be up here right now asking to restrict people to come into downtown when our organization, we talk all of the time about downtown being a place where everyone is welcome. For everyone to be welcome, everyone must feel safe, and that is not the case today. This action is about creating temporary measures. There's a built-in sunset clause in here that allows this body, the mayor's office, our organization, TPD, stakeholders, people who are in the audience today, to come together to collaborate, to understand what is not working, what is working, to make changes, or to completely eliminate this curfew moving forward. Hundreds, if not thousands, of youth are gathering at 2nd and Elgin and nearby every single Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. There is no reason for a 17-year-old to be in that area at 1 o'clock in the morning in our busiest bar and entertainment districts all around downtown. And this is not a business problem. This is not a bar problem. This is a citywide community problem. Our data shows year over year decreases in foot traffic and visitors across our entire downtown area, and especially within the Blue Dome district. Early in the morning of May 4th, a gunfight broke out within feet of Tulsa Police Department officers involving a 17-year-old. He harmed others and was killed while doing so. There was no reason for that fight to be breaking out at that point in time in our downtown or in our community. Had there been a curfew in place, would that same outcome have occurred? We don't know. Crowds may have been manageable earlier in the evening, but again, we don't know. And I say this because several have brought up throughout the day concerns of unintended consequences of this action. We need a relief pressure in downtown today. We needed it yesterday. We needed it a year ago. And this is the mechanism that is going to allow for that. And rather than focus on the what ifs and unintended questions about unintended consequences of action, I'm thinking equally, if not more, about the consequences of inaction, intended or otherwise. Will a fight this Friday that breaks out in our downtown lead to another youth or another innocent bystander being killed in our community? This is an interim safety measure, not a cure-all solution. It is intended to protect everyone. 17-year-olds, 7-year-olds, 75-year-olds. The defenses and exceptions that we have been able to build into this specifically for downtown that are not applied elsewhere in the city means that youth under 18 can still attend concerts, they can still attend baseball games, they can still attend soccer games, they can still get ice cream and pizza at establishments that are open in downtown, even after 9 p.m. This is by no means the perfect solution. This is not going to cure all of our woes. This doesn't even begin to touch upon the daytime issues that we experience in downtown each and every day. We are looking for and we are demanding tools and actions by this body in the city of Tulsa to address problems before they get any worse, before another chair at Sunday dinner is empty because of a senseless gun death in our community. Perfection is the enemy of progress, and this is not a perfect solution. Waiting pushes the problem further down the line and risks additional lives.
Brian, you have 30 seconds.
We ask you to pass this temporary measure and collaborate to develop and fund additional necessary fixes beyond enforcement for our community. Do not place the blame on our businesses. Do not place the blame on downtown. Let's collaborate. Let's partner on solutions that are going to solve these problems once and for all. We stand ready. We are ready and prepared to work with you each and every day. I implore you to approve this ordinance on an emergency basis and allow for it to be implemented immediately. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Next speakers are James and Bernice Alexander.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Let's face the facts. The facts are we live in a very, very cruel world. We live in a United States that have more guns than people. We live in a very evil state. And it's going down to our children, and most kids are very good. It's only a few. I've been working with kids since 1978. And all spectrums of working with kids. Curfews. Curfews are good for people that are law-abiding. The ones that are not going to obey the laws, I don't care what kind of law. They're going to get out and do what they think they can do. Curfew, good for people that follow the law. Curfew, those that don't give a darn are going to do whatever they feel. So, what is the situation that we're dealing with? We're dealing with people, and people are very mean nowadays, and it's going down to the kids. If you want to stop all this violence, start with the kids. Give them something to do in every neighborhood. That is the key. The ones that are going to act right are going to act right. The ones that are buttholes are going to be buttholes.
You know, I like the gentleman's name. I'm sorry. Good evening, counselors.
Good evening, Ms.
I have
Bernice.
to acknowledge you all. I like the gentleman's name that was up here before. His last name was Seawright. And we need to see right. These children are in trouble. And as my husband said, we have worked in all kinds of situations with young people. I worked as a investigator for the state of Oklahoma Department of Human Services Child Welfare. That was about children who were abused. My husband and I have both worked at the Job Corps centers in Guthrie and Tulsa. Those young people were largely teenagers. My husband has been working in Tulsa Public Schools for over 35 years with kids. And we worked at the Guthrie Job Corps and the Tulsa Job Corps. And we helped write a program for the Tulsa Community Youth Home that was for kids with mental health issues. And that program became a part of St. Francis Hospital. The children are in trouble because the parents in many of these cases are not available, or they don't know what to do with their children. I'm concerned about what I'm hearing, and that is to get the police involved with the children. And the police, that might be necessary, but the police need to be guided too, because the police abuse children. I know some. I ran a youth program here, 91 and 92, out of the YWCA building and out of McLean High School the second year. Over 350 children were signed up for that program, but we were only able to work with 165. We have to pay, and that was an award-winning program that I wrote up. We need to pay attention to these children. They are children. They are not adults. The law even has to handle them in a different way than they handle adults. They're children. So for those that are listening out in the community that have issues about your own children, there are programs in the community that you can go to that will help you with your children, that you can talk to, or help you with yourself so that you can be good parents. For this council, I know you're talking about getting the police involved with the children. That might be necessary right now to kind of calm things down. But the police are not the answer for the children. The Department of Corrections is not the answer for the children. Okay? So we all need to be concerned about the children. These churches, you need to be concerned about the children. It's not that hard to work in a neighborhood and for people to live together comfortably. It's just a lot of wrongdoing going on in this city from both the government side and other grown-ups who have children, and even grown-ups themselves. So it's time to get a handle on this. And I would like to work with the council if you're interested in that program that I had, because I've thought about reopening it at different sites. Too much. Those children that we work with, I'm going to say this quickly, were from 5 to 17 years old. We had those kids in the program from the time they got out of school until 9 o'clock at night. During the summer, we had them from 7 o'clock in the morning until 9 at night. It was a very, very successful program. Worked well with the children. So if you want to look at that, I can make that available to you. But the children are in trouble. Grown-ups got to take care of it. They're children. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Next speaker is Angeli Barnett.
Good evening.
I've only been in Tulsa for 28 years, so I'm still a Texan. Sorry. Hook 'em horns. Anywho, seriously, y'all, when we talk about 6A, it hits my heart. When we speak about the penalties, I'm not for or against this. I just looked at the motion that is set up, and we need a little bit more structure to that, to what's currently written. That's what I'm asking for. I'm begging y'all. we can't just say, hey, we're going to drop $200 because you were outside. Now your mom's got to pay $200 because you didn't got no sense. If mom or dad, because it's not just mom or dad, if dad is saying, hey, I lost control, I need some help, what is going to be available to those parents? Those are the solutions. Those are the things that we need. Okay, we got, fine, you have to do some community service hours. It has to be more than just, 20 hours of community service. No, guess what? You're going to be on the farm, and now you're going to be out here, shoveling some poop. We need to take it back. We need to open some doors. We need to get our community more engaged in these solutions versus just saying, hey, you got to do community service now. And, they're going to come pick you up in the van. You got to pick up trash on the highway. And then they call their friend and say, hey, come pick me up because I'm right here. And then it's over with. So we have to have some different solutions versus what we've already had. And the other thing is, stop looking at these kids as problems and start looking at them as consumers. Sell them something. We got these businesses in here. What can we sell these kids, other than guns, to solve these problems? We got to kind of think backwards. And where are our kids at? Not in here. They're the solution. You got to go to the solution. You can lead a horse to water, but you cannot make them drink. I just tried, almost got ran over by a stallion. True story, leave that alone. But y'all, we've got to get these kids engaged in our problems here in Tulsa. We got to ask them, knock on the doors. I have a 20-year-old. He's been working for 2 years. He's about to buy his first house. He's pre-approved. He's 20. He's a welder, TPS. He came through Booker T, the welding program. We've graduated 10. Y'all, that's not the problem. They have to have somewhere to go. What's our solution? It can't be just $200 fine to the parents. We need something else. The other thing, the gentleman spoke about the incident that happened on Crybaby Hill. We need a different penalty for those individuals that are hosting these type of activities. No, you don't get to rent a hotel room for your nephew because he's turning 16 and leave him there and unsupervised. That's unfair. That's unfair to me when I'm doing a staycation, and that's unfair to those kids because they don't have the common sense of how to act when they're not under supervision. Stop thinking these kids got common sense. They don't, I promise you. And the last thing I like to say, and this is just not for our council, and I love and appreciate all y'all for being here, but what's the example? What's the example at home, at church, at work, in the neighborhood? Do you get along with everybody you're around? And if you don't do that. Don't point the finger at them and what they're not doing. Point it back at you. Figure it out. Find some solutions and go to work. It's not about just, hey, we need this blanket open, go home at 9 o'clock. They need somewhere to be.
You have 30 seconds. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Next speaker is Justin Boshi.
Hello, Council. My name is Justin Baraki. I own the Tulsa Bard on 2nd and Elgin. We've met with the Downtown Impact Unit over the last 3 years, twice a year. We've been begging for help. The curfew, you guys decide what the best curfew is going to be. I'm okay with that. But you guys have to enforce it. If we're up here even wasting time right now because the police chief won't enforce it, then what are we doing? Because I have bartenders and I have security guards quitting jobs because they don't feel safe because we don't have enough police in the district at 3 a.m. when there's still 300 kids out on the street, blocking exits, blocking roads. We have to change what it looks like downtown. This isn't an entertainment district. That is actually specifically a bar district. In the city of Tulsa, you can't have a bar within 500 feet of another bar. But we come to you and we say, it's a bar district, and you guys approve it. You've allowed other bars to be within 500 feet of another bar. Let's treat it like a bar district. Let's put a curfew on it to where we can't have 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18-year-olds down in that district. We have to make changes, guys. We need your help. We've been asking you for your help for 3 years now, 3 years straight. Meeting with 4 or 5 different bar owners, with the Downtown Impact Unit, anyone that would meet with us. And, you know, they're good for 6 or 7 months, and then they bounce out for 5 because they need time. They won't do the overtime at that point, or they need a break, or we don't have the funding. Whatever it is, find the funding, or we're going to lose downtown. You're going to lose the businesses. It's going to take years to recuperate from it. We need your help.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Next speaker is Michelle Lara.
Good evening.
Hello. My name is Michelle Lara, and I am a lifelong Tulsa community member. I'm a parent, and I'm also the executive director of Padres Unidos de Tulsa. I am a deeply concerned neighbor from District 3, and I'm here today to speak on behalf of Padres Unidos de Tulsa regarding Agenda Item 6A, which is the proposed curfew for minors in downtown Tulsa. I want to start off by saying that we are deeply concerned about this proposal and believe that it's a misguided response to the serious issue of gun violence that affects our city. We must prioritize the well-being and the safety of our children above all else, rather than simply reacting to gun violence out of concern for business interests. The real problem is really systemic, right? It's not our children. Tulsa is a community that's still healing from deep historical trauma from the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre to the recent mass shooting at the Juneteenth Festival. And these are tragedies that are not caused by our children. They never were, right? These are symptoms that are much deeper, those systemic problems that demand our attention and our resources. Our children are victims of gun violence. They're not the cause. This proposed curfew unfairly targets them, and honestly, it's distracting from the real issue here. We need to address this issue as a community to keep our children safe. So I want to point out why I believe this curfew is a concern. The first piece is really that increased police interaction and harassment. Our community is already on high alert due to increased ICE sightings and presence, as well as the police force, which has been labeled as one of the most lethal in the nation. So to ask our police force, which is known to be a lethal police force, to further engage and interact with our children is just asking for more lives lost. Next, I want to point out the further hardship on our families. We're already in a time of a lot of unrest, not just here in the local level, but obviously at the federal. This proposed curfew would inflict significant hardship on our families, particularly our immigrant families, by requiring parents to take time off work and navigate what we know is a complex court system. Not only this, but these burdens are essentially seen as dismissed by our officials, and they're seen as minor, but these are potentially devastating impacts on our families. Next is the most important piece that I really want to focus on, which is the criminalizing of our children. Again, this curfew risks pushing more of our children and their families into the justice system simply for being out at night. I'm not saying that I think our kids should be running the streets at night, but there are other things that deserve interaction with the police. This curfew will not stop gun violence because it is a systemic issue. We know that our current curfew hasn't stopped these things from happening. The next piece is that I really believe this to be a misguided priority. The City of Tulsa recently received a nearly $2 million grant from the U.S. Department of Injustice, specifically to address gun violence. So we're here talking about interrupting these cycles of violence within our community with this money. So instead of using these vital funds to empower police, we should be using it to empower community-led programs and experts who truly understand and can and are equipped to support our children. This curfew is a step in the opposite direction. So some demands that I want to leave you all with. As our elected officials, and Padres Unidos, we demand that you immediately abandon this proposed curfew. It is not a solution, and it will only inflict further harm on our community. Instead, Padres Unidos de Tulsa urges you to immediately connect with local trusted organizations to implement initiatives that truly will make a difference. So with that, we demand immediate implementation of gun buyback programs to remove dangerous weapons from our streets, a significant investment in teen-focused programming that provides engaging, safe, and productive opportunities for our children, giving them positive alternatives and, like people are saying, things to do. And then next to that, a commitment to finding more permanent and beneficial solutions that address the root cause of violence rather than simply criminalizing our children. So I want to leave you with that. We demand that you invest in our children and not criminalize them. We demand that you utilize your power and your authority to empower our community and work together to find solutions to build a safer, more secure community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Next speaker is Shelley Free.
Good evening.
Good evening. I had not prepared to speak here this evening, had some things going on today, and the overwhelming dialogue about this issue in my personal community and the background knowledge that my community has hurdles that would prevent them all from being here to voice it directly to you. I thought, you know what, if you can be a body, go be a body and speak up on some of these issues that you see so many of your community members so passionate about. I do want to note I appreciate the no votes in hearing this as it is tonight, because I don't believe it is a rush at all. Those of us that live in Tulsa, primarily North Tulsa, we understand gun violence. We understand it's been a problem. I also do want to side note that the order of speakers should likely go in the order they signed up to eliminate any perceived bias, because the order in which information is presented does affect how it is retained. So the curfew, as stated, a temporary solution just so we can get a bearing, so we can do this. I personally, as many of the same community members speaking in opposition to this, have been here to speak on requests we have in our community to help keep us safe. Something as simple as street lights, which notably were not working on the east side of Greenwood the night of the shooting. We have this issue plaguing our community, something so simple as don't give darkness more space. Put a light on it. It literally and figuratively works. We have asked, we have told and demanded and marched for an oversight committee for the Tulsa Police Department, so that when we say, hey, hey, new ordinance with criminal repercussions, we would have some peace of mind to think, well, you know, we know we do have a lethal police force. We know we've marched these streets for some things they've done. But if we had a legitimate, rational oversight process for misconduct and wrongdoing, we might feel more at ease to say, yes, let's go ahead and bring them out and see maybe the presence alone of more officers downtown. You know, I hear the argument, it happened 10 feet away, it happened 20 feet away. But presence is the first use of force. And the fact that this is a conversation that we're having about children makes it imperative that we understand that the presence of law enforcement is the first force. And we have so many children in our communities that have already been primarily and secondarily traumatized by the presence of law enforcement in their lives. We know that this is an issue. Parents, folks that work with the youth, we know. You should hear how these kids talk to grown folks. And they're happy to do it, and they're going to record it, and they're going to be 10 years old doing it, and then they're going to go load it to their little TikTok they have that their mama don't care about or don't know about because they don't understand the tech anymore. I don't think it's a rush to judgment. I do agree with our mayor when he said the word aggressive. It's very aggressive. It's our children. Those primarily engaging in support of this are business interests, and that has to be understood. It's fair that you have a business and you're concerned and you got to worry about your retention, you got to worry about your costs, you got to worry about your patronage. That is fair. But sorry, not sorry, I'm worried about the kids more. We can go through so many other things. This is such a bucket of issue here. There are so many other things we could address in our community that will have vital direct impact than immediately exposing families to more criminal or civil liabilities in this system. We could do so much more first. The major incidents we're talking about that have been addressed on this
You have
issue
30 seconds left.
did not even happen in the IDL. The biggest ones weren't even here. It's tragic, it's terrible every time. But this is truly centering business interests over community. And that's how I feel about it. Those are the notes I had. I hope that the Mayor's Office of Children, Youth, and Families can get all your support, and you can work with him to find more interventions. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Next speaker is Nate Morris.
Good evening, y'all. So I want to start by saying I know folks who've spoken on both sides of this issue. Folks on this dais, I have no doubt in my mind that everybody is wanting to find a solution to ensure that our kids are safe. I don't doubt that for a moment. I think that we are in a way at a loss to figure out what that looks like and how to do it. But I say that because I want to have that caveat from the start that I don't believe that there's anyone here with ill intent toward our kids. I think some of my top line concerns with this, I think they were voiced during the meeting earlier. If this is a pilot, I am concerned about the length of time that this ordinance will be in effect for, I think it's 9 to 10 months, somewhere in that range. I think back to the mask mandates during the COVID crisis and how those were chunked in about 90-day-ish blocks and there were weekly regular data updates to ensure that they were working and to ensure that it made sense. So I think that if this is something that is going to move forward, I think it makes more sense to do it in a more concise way as opposed to making this something that feels as though it has a level of permanence to it. I think above all, I'm just concerned with the message that this sends to our kids. I'm a former high school teacher. I taught at Hale High School, was really proud to work there. I know we worked on some things together there. Whenever I told somebody I worked at Hale High School, I would get this same like, oh, that must have been rough reaction. And I hated getting that reaction because some of the most brilliant young people, humans period, that I have ever met were the kids that I worked with at Hale High School. And I think we have in this city some of the most brilliant, compassionate, talented kids anywhere in the country. But I think within this conversation of trying to figure out how to curb this violence, I think that we are also forgetting the fact that unlike many of us in this room, our kids have had to come into age and grow up in a time of a global pandemic, in the time of a racial uprising, in the time of a rise of political unrest here in this country. And that is a really hard time to grow up in and a really hard time to form who you are. And so I think that this needs to, I hear the conversations around this isn't the end all be all, and it's not, because as we heard earlier, this is systemic. This is a systemic issue that we need to address, and we have to have this moment force us into a conversation about what are we going to do to truly invest in our kids moving forward in this city? What are we going to do to ensure that they do have somewhere to go and somewhere to be, that they do feel that the city that they love loves them back? I also want to elevate the concerns that I've heard around the disparities in youth contact with police and the reality that white young people in this country are very often less likely to experience arrest or use of force than kids of color, and not just in this country, but in this city, and the data backs that up. In fact, that disparity between white and black youth and arrests and use of force with police has increased over the last 6 years. I think it's really critical that we name that, because this will inherently increase the contact with police that our kids will have. And so it needs to be, we need to ensure, right, that our kids are being put in positions where they are safe, and that our officers, if this does pass, are put in positions where they understand how to properly engage with all of our youth. And so I want to just close out with, I was struggling how to think through this, but I think, Councilor Archie, I think your words at the council meeting earlier really stuck with me, that downtown is for everyone. And so I just want this council to think about, if you were a kid and you were sitting in this audience and you were listening to your city council, what it might feel like to hear this conversation where the
Nate, you got 30 seconds.
Thanks. Where so much of what's happening is pinned on you, and where you are told that you have to be out of your downtown before the streetlights come on or you're committing a crime. So I just ask that you think about this from the perspective of the kids who may not be in the room tonight, our youth who are going to be the future of our city, and what message this might send to them, and how we can find a solution that elevates and honors who they are while also hitting at the root issues that we have. So thank y'all.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Our final speaker is Mr. James L. Johnson.
Good evening, councilors.
Good evening.
I really don't even know where to start. I spoke to a couple of young men that I see in the audience now. It brings tears to me to know that these kids had to sit and listen to what we're talking about. Thank you, District 1 Councilor Vanessa Harper, for the work that you've been working with me on for the last year and a half, Mohawk Boulevard. And I see my good friend Bert Mamalo here. We're going to do a follow-up story on Mohawk Boulevard Monday. We just had another young man that got killed on Mohawk Boulevard in front of Muncie Power Plant. I've had 7 accidents in front of my home. And then there was another white male that got killed at Mohawk in Lewis. This is all happening in North Tulsa. I want to piggyback on what Mr. Jack Seawright and Nate Morris said. There are children that are gathering at Apache and Yale. There's black children that are gathering at Apache and MLK. So it's not just the downtown district. I understand the businessmen and women. I understand their plight. But it's not these children's fault. It's our fault. I was raised by 3 strong black women, my mother, my grandmother, and my aunt. I didn't have a dad in the house. My mother was no nonsense. She didn't play no games. She whooped our tails. That's the problem now. It's not these children's fault. Some of us need to get them 3-wheeler switches on us again to remind us where we come from. That's the problem. You can't wait till your son get to be 22 years old and then start trying to raise him. My son is 24 years old. My daughter is 44 years old. I whooped her butt one time. She was a senior in high school. Never had to get her again. But she told her little brother, you don't want to play with daddy. Because y'all know when they get 24 years old, boys, their little testicles, swell up on them, and they think, Daddy, I think I can try you now. But she let him know, boy, that ain't what you want. Because daddy don't play. My son has been working at Macy's 6 years. That's the only job he's had. Never gave me no problems. Why? Because I raised him when he was their age. I didn't wait till he got 22, 23, 24, then start trying to raise him. The problem that we're having downtown, it's our fault. Because we ain't did no parenting. You can't sit up and smoke weed with your child all day and all night. You can't sit up and drink with your child all day and all night. You can't be having sex in your bedroom and then your baby having sex in the next room. It's a parent problem. It's not these kids' fault. But we want to blame it on the children. We want to blame it on the children. It's sad. Some of us need to be raised again. Or whooped again. Because that's what mama and them did to us. I keeps me a good lawyer and a good bondsman. Because if mine get out of line now, I'm grown. We're going to look at it. I'd rather raise my own than for them to get down to David L. Moss or Lexington Assessment and Reception or Mabel Bassett or Eddie Warrior or Oklahoma State Penitentiary. These young men right here that I'm talking about, I told them was it last night when I talked to you gentlemen? I told them all it takes is one bad decision and that could ruin your life. I was 23 years old. First time I ever got in trouble. Gave two young guys a ride.
Sir, you have that 30 seconds.
And ended up with an accessory grand larceny charge, car tires, and I didn't have no money for a lawyer and a bondsman. They gave me a 12-year sentence. First time I ever got in trouble. I had to do 4 years on that 12-year sentence and 5 years on parole. By the grace of God, June the 25th, Counselor Hal Harper can tell you, 2023, after 38 years of having no contact with law enforcement, I got my record clear. Counselor Lori Dexter, she was there.
Sir,
They
your time's up.
took a picture with me.
Your time's up.
I'm just saying, parents, be parents. Quit trying to be your children's best friend.
Thank you. Chris, is that it for speakers?
We have no more speakers.
Okay. We're into council discussion. I know Councilor Dutton had a comment, and then Dr. Wright, and then Archie.
Okay, I want to thank everybody for being here and having a voice. I'm excited that 3 constituents from District 3 were present. That's wonderful. There, is that better? Can everybody hear me better? So, first of all, I would like to address the business owners. And there has been a curfew in effect since the 1980s, 70s,
I think it was the
90s. And when the homicide occurred downtown that everybody's talking about, May 5th, Chief Larson did a conference, basically. And he basically stated that if officers began issuing citations for underage persons, that officers would begin doing so, that it would tie up all of the officers that were securing the area. Expounded also on, if they write a curfew citation, that an officer must take the juvenile to CIC, a 15-bed facility. That simply is not true. Normally, what occurs is they get a child in need of supervision call that goes out and requires bringing in a parent or guardian onto the scene. And then there was comments made about how long it would tie up an officer, 20 to 40 minutes after a shooting. And then there was a comment suggesting that if the venues didn't have open doors or windows where music that appeals to 14 and 19-year-olds could be heard, then maybe they wouldn't linger in the area. That's some context to the conversation for these business owners. I would also like to say that there has been no data presented to me that it is the juveniles causing the issues downtown. I've yet to see data that I can go with and actually process, and the accusations that it is the juveniles that are causing the loss of revenues to these businesses is a difficult idea to process. There's got to be more factors than just juveniles. And I'm also wondering, what is the percentage of adults that are arrested downtown for fights, homicides, the IDL? And I also take issue that the idea that the IDL is the only area where these instances occur. There's no data supporting that either. And I'm also grossly concerned that we're focusing on downtown when the majority of the issues that were brought to the table, one was only in the IDL, and it was convenient to utilize Juneteenth as an example to fit into the narrative of downtown. We have lots of events and festivals. We have the Asian Festival. We have Drillers baseball games downtown. And the warehouse incident in District 3, where was the uproar from businesses in that corridor, or City Council, or TPD? So I'm incredibly concerned. I also want to address Ms. Ibarra. I'm your district counselor, and it is concerning to me in this moment in time where we're having all of this racial discourse. In this environment, our young people are having to deal with ICE and the separation idea that their parents are going to be taken. There is a lot of stress. They're coming out of COVID. They're trying to find their way as teenagers and have community. And we don't have a single teenager right here in the audience to give us comment as to solutions. Not a single one. Teens will listen to teens. And I did say earlier in a meeting that if I were 19 today, I would be one of those rebellious teens that if I got asked downtown by an officer, "Can I see your ID?" I would say no. No, sir. And then what the consequence to that would be is unknown. We haven't discussed that. We don't have the information at hand to make an emergency clause decision, first, second, and then vote reading on a measure that is going to be harmful to our communities. And so I also wanted to close that I appreciate the comments by Jack Seawright, Angelina, Ms. Ibarra, Shelley Free. Your comments were powerful. Thank you. Nate Morris, and all of those in the crowd that wanted to speak out and just didn't. It would be my wish to just table this measure. We already have an ordinance. And juveniles are not the issue because we have juveniles all over Tulsa. Why are we making it about the IDL? We have businesses all over Tulsa. I had a business for almost 20 years. My lost revenues were not due to juveniles in my parking lot, which we did have. And so to use juveniles as a crutch to me is unacceptable, especially when they have no voice. That is all I have to say.
Thank you. Councilor Dr. Wright, and then Archie.
Thank you, Chair Litkin. Thank you, Councilor Dutton. Thank you, community, for showing up. I'm sorry that you had 2 days' notice. I'm sorry I had 2 days' notice. I'm sorry that some of my colleagues who need lots more notice are rushing this through, and that's why I voted no on the waiver of City Charter Council rules and order of business today. I'm not opposed to empowering folks to come up with solutions. I am opposed to a week ago saying we need more time to consider unintended consequences, and then today from the same people that made that argument being asked to trust that we'll figure it out as we go. There could be unintended consequences. We'll amend it as we go. So I talked about that at 10:30, but I really did want to say it here. 12 people spoke today, mixed feedback. Last week we had 15, all for. We need to listen to everyone in the community that wants to be protected and kept safe. And I do think that the human rights ordinance that has been moved to September 10th will do some of the things that we're talking about here today. And I cannot separate the two because the two involve community. And I will also say that our youth are also part of the folks in those protections that we talked about. So to focus in on this, earlier today, I think we had a consensus that March sunset of 2026, too long, 9 months is too long. So in the backup documents that we received at 4 o'clock, it has now been redlined to October 22nd, 2025. So that is the 90-month window. Thank you, Mr. Morris, for reminding us how we do ever-changing data analysis to make sure that policies are aligned to solutions we are seeking. I did issue a request of this type of data that we should be provided with on a weekly basis so that we can really do some checks on who is receiving application of the updated ordinance should it pass tonight. I also want to reiterate, because I don't think I was fully heard by my colleagues, that if the problem is happening on Friday and Saturday or Thursday, Friday and Saturday, why don't we just apply the restrictions to Thursday, Friday, and Saturday rather than 7 days a week? I think overregulation is not conducive to ensuring that overuse of those regulations do not just involve people that we already know statistics and data support are over policed in our community. It's undeniable. That is a piece of data we've had since 2018 in the equality indicators, and it is the one area in the equality indicators that is not improved. So that is a topic for a future discussion to be scheduled. Counselors, you know that there's 4 co-sponsors on this. One of those sponsors is not here with us because she's on medical leave. I do want to read into the record the comments I received from her. Just to level set, we got this ordinance on our agenda on Monday at 3:45. I got lots of calls and interactions between yesterday and today. So forgive me if you have messaged me and I haven't responded. But I did want to acknowledge Councilor Bellis, who is listed on this and is one of the 2 city councilors that represents downtown Tulsa in the IDL. I wish I was physically able to make it to the council meetings today. I'm not. My name is on the curfew ordinance. Transparently, I agreed to that, assuming it was up for a discussion and not realizing it would be up for a vote the same day. That's the waiver of city charter and council rules that was added. Councilor Bellis did not agree to that. A group of us had 2 meetings to discuss this policy change and left off the last one with needing to see TPD data on youth arrests downtown, a survey of downtown businesses and residents. I believe that was to be conducted by the Downtown Tulsa Partnership, and further coordination with Youth Services of Tulsa on proactive youth outreach and programming. I absolutely believe more proactive safety measures are needed downtown. And no, this isn't an urgent matter. And I want to do data-driven, thoughtful policymaking. I think this policy needs more time, but understand the rush to do something. If this passes today, I am somewhat reassured by the sunset on the policy being included, and that is a request that I had surfaced. So that's from Councilor Bellis, June 25th, 8:41 a.m. I talked to her at length this morning while she was preparing to go to the pediatrician with her newborn. I think that's asking a lot of a colleague, and I understand that on Monday there was a meeting with Councilor Hall Harper, Councilor Gilbert, and Councilor Lakin where they did receive some data. The rest of us just got that data during a meeting at 3:30 today. I don't know if my colleagues had been able to look at it. I've tried to look at it in between running around here. This is not the best way to do policy work, and I understand a sense of urgency, but we heard here today there's been a lot of requests being made over time. I'm disappointed to hear that our police chief has said some things that sound like very unhelpful to the process, and I've heard that from many, many people, and so I would encourage more care in the words that we choose. I did also, because this has been so rushed and people haven't had time to respond, except for those who prioritized being here today, which I do appreciate, to read into the record another message I received late last night from Beth Edwards Svetlik, the Assistant Executive Director of Youth Services of Tulsa. She has been in these meetings with the authors of the ordinance as the forward-facing youth provider. I will also say it's not lost on me that actual youth voices have not been centered in this conversation yet, and I hope that it will be soon. I see lots of people here connected to youth, and I thank you for being here and holding space, and I know you'll go back and encourage those young people to reach out. So this is from Youth Services Tulsa, which I was told by several people in favor of this that are trying to rush it through, that they're on board, and Councilor Hall Harper's on board, and Councilor Bellis is on board, so you should be on board too. And I just want to say, I don't appreciate that tactic, because this is what I'm receiving. Councilor Dectorite, I've been working with Councilor Bellis, Councilor Gilbert, and Councilor Hall Harper on the curfew ordinance for a few weeks, and have really appreciated the openness to explore non-law enforcement alternatives to this ordinance. But I and Youth Services of Tulsa have a few concerns with the current proposal. One, at this point, I don't think we are relying on data-driven information to inform this ordinance. We have requested data from TPD on an age breakdown of offenses in the downtown area to get a better understanding of what the issues are. My understanding is that it's difficult to break down juvenile charges. Two, my understanding is that the concerns with crowds have largely been focused on Friday and Saturday nights. This current proposal of 7 days a week seems unnecessarily restrictive. Three, specific to the most recent incidents, none of them occurred within the IDL, and we are simply moving on an issue to another part of town. Solving for that concern with a citywide 7-day-a-week, 9 o'clock curfew seems ripe for an increase in unnecessary police and youth interactions that could lead to unnecessary and harmful escalations. Three, quickly putting this ordinance in place without a clear plan for diversion, alternatives, or non-law enforcement outreach perpetuates punitive measures without real solutions. I don't see how this ordinance doesn't exacerbate the already terrible equality indicator of black youth being arrested at 2.5 times the rate of white youth. Four, at no point in this process have youth been brought into the conversation. There is no other group or community that would be disregarded in such a way. Minors who have no vote are an easy target for punitive ordinances and political wins. The city of Tulsa can do better than that and ensure they are at the table and part of the solutions. Rushing this through without an attempt to engage them is not okay. Some alternatives that we would encourage: one, a municipal alternative court that would provide connection to services and place the fines. Two, non-law enforcement youth outreach specific to the downtown area to connect with young people and provide alternatives. Three, increased funding and support for the Community Violence Intervention Program to implement and support the work with the same level of urgency from the city that has been demonstrated for putting this ordinance in place. Again, that was from Beth Edwards Svetlik, Assistant Executive Director, who I understand has been at the table for at least two of these meetings and was held out as an example of a youth-facing organization that supports the ordinance. Clearly it does not. Clearly, Councilor Bellis has reservations and hesitations, although she's been held out as a co-sponsor. So for those reasons, I'm really deeply upset about the process. I understand. I hear business owners. I lead an organization that sits right outside the IDL. We serve youth that we bring into the IDL late at night, and several times throughout the year. I know they go to the nearby restaurants to the Performing Arts Center because they want to have a burger and fries after they just, performed for 3 hours. And we want them to do that. We want them to feel like downtown is for them. We also want to keep them safe. And we heard a myriad of concerns about the young people that are in the IDL. I'm still quite confused because I haven't seen the data yet presented to me either, Councilor Dutton, if this is a 17 and under issue or an 18 to 25 issue, or there's a confluence of issues. I've heard about parking lot loitering. We have loitering laws. We have trespassing. Have trespass ladders been filed? I don't know about these things. We have other enforcement mechanisms is the point that I have. The one thing that I heard today from my colleague from District 1, who does represent parts of the IDL, is that this could help clear out the younger folks earlier in the night for a crowd control measure. And so that argument makes sense to me, Counselor. I also heard that you're deeply concerned about discretion, and you know the statistics that impact your community more harshly than a lot of the rest of us. And so I hear some challenges even with you sponsoring it, and I just did want to acknowledge that you're trying to balance interests. I also am a city councilor for Southeast Tulsa District 7, where we have the retail and commercial corridor on East 71st Street. We have not been without youth gun violence. Even as recently as 5 youth were arrested with weapons stolen, weapons in their vehicle. My district also is where most of the weapons right now are being stolen from. We also have issues with youth and young people mixing and gathering in parking lots, and over the years, recently, post-pandemic, we've had to do very targeted TPD action to quell those. And what I'm concerned about this is that if we don't have a place for these folks to go and productively engage, they're gonna come to my community, to Councilor Bengal's community, to Councilor Archery's community, to Councilor Dutton's community, which we already heard last week, 500 children in a warehouse with guns. So I am concerned that we're pushing a problem. I don't know that doing 7 days a week, more restrictive ordinance is the answer. What I'm hearing in the IDLs, it's really Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So if we're gonna pilot something rushed through without engaging a whole lot of folks, I would be more inclined to do a 9 p.m. restriction for Thursday, Friday, Saturday between now and October 22nd and study the data and see if the impacts are and outcomes are what we need, while we also provide time and space for folks to come up with these alternative opportunities. I've heard from several forward-facing nonprofits today that serve at-risk youth. They are asking for more time. They're asking for more time so that they can come up with the carrot and not just the stick. Right now, all we got is the stick, and people are afraid. They're afraid that it will be overutilized and lead to unintended consequences and outcomes. So earlier today, I did speak on that I wanted the sunset to be moved. We've got that crafted in the ordinance. What I'm trying to add here is if we're going to move forward with this, which it feels like it's going to, I would really like to not do a 7-day-a-week, 9 p.m. IDL youth curfew and really concentrate on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, where we're having these big crowds. And I heard, I haven't seen data, but I'm hearing from business owners that that is when it's happening. Let's be precise in what we're trying to apply here and really measure those outcomes. If we need to expand it, we can always expand it. The difficulty becomes if it's 7 days a week, you're just automatically, to me, driving this need of youth to join together and be together to the outer IDL to the near downtown neighborhoods or the other entertainment parts of town, like mine, where we do have businesses that are open later. Entertainment district. It's not a bar district, but it's definitely restaurants, movies, those kinds of things, the mall. And we do have a recent history of similar issues popping up there. And I don't have an impact unit that is dedicated to my corridor. I don't have all these RTIC cameras and things that are concentrated in the IDL. So I don't want to do a 7-day-a-week thing that just drives it completely out. Let's look at Thursday, Friday, Saturday for 90 days and make some decisions in community so that the people that serve these at-risk young people can be at the table coming up with these alternative solutions. And that's what I'm asking for here. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Archie.
No, thank you so much. So I'll keep my comments brief, but I'm looking here on our social media, and there's nearly 50 people who are watching online. And I've never seen it like this. There's so much engagement around this topic. It is tough that it's only been, less than 48 hours. I just began reading this maybe 36 hours ago. But I think that as a baseline assumption, we want to foster a community where everyone feels like they belong. And downtown is no exception. Whether you are a teenager, whether you're a young adult, you should be able to experience downtown in a safe and productive way. Also, if you're a business owner, you should be able to prosper. I think our downtown should be the most vibrant in the nation. And what that means is, as a city, we need to be able to ensure public safety for the folks that are fueling our city with their tax dollars. And so after the events in May, I did go down and I was in the meeting with at Arnie's with the business owners, and I did a lot of listening. And I was there. I went and visited UCasey on the night that Isaiah Knight was killed. And one of the speakers in the back had said that his son was a welder. And I was with the family yesterday, and they said that Isaiah had graduated from welding school and was about to start his job. And so it's the young people are the victims of this violence. We have to recognize that the perpetrators of this violence do not represent the overwhelming majority of the youth that are in our city. And I taught, before I ran for office, I taught at Monroe on the north side. I taught at Robertson on the west side. I taught at Edison in Midtown. And one of the worst ways to discourage a classroom of students is to punish an entire group because of the actions of a few. And yet, I do feel compelled that we need to do something. I feel like there needs to be more people at the table speaking. I am concerned that there are no youth, and they're young, and so it's, do you put them on the spot and say, hey, what do you think we should do? We have to create a safe environment. But I agree with Councilor Dector Wright in that the approach needs to be targeted. If we're going to have a curfew, I spoke with a number of business leaders. I said, what are the main days that these issues are really happening? And what I heard was Friday and Saturday are the primary days. And then I looked at the calendar and I said, well, July 4th is on a Friday. And so there's probably going to be a lot of activity on the 3rd as well, which is a Thursday. So it may be good to have Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And try it. And have connection with these other community organizations, and we can amend it as we go on. But I also think, to your point, Councilor Dector Wright, it needs to be short. I agree with the October date as well. And so yeah, that's my I don't know the procedural, how do you add that, but I
Well,
would
we
be.
can just make a motion, which I'll do right now.
Okay, we'll make a motion for.
I'd like to move to approve item 6A with the updated sunset date to October 26, 2025, which is in the red line, and amend the language on item C, defining the downtown curfew hours to 9 o'clock on Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays until 6 a.m. That's the motion.
Just to clarify, I believe you said October 26th, but I think
22nd.
22nd, right.
Which is in the red line. What's not in the red line is the downtown curfew hours are still proposed to be 9 to 6, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And I agree with Councilor Archie that we should amend those downtown curfew hours for the first 90 days or 2 weeks from now if people want to bring another amendment. But my motion is for October 22nd as the sunset of 2025 and amending the definition of downtown curfew hours in item C to be 9 p.m. on any Thursday, Friday, or Saturday until 6 a.m. of the following day.
Okay, everything else stays the same, emergency clause, all the other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, is there a second on that motion?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Okay, we still have council discussion. We don't have to take a vote right now or anything else. So I have Councilor Hall Harper, and then Bush, and then Gilbert, and then Bush. Okay. Okay, Bush and then Gilbert.
You said me
Hall
now?
Harper, yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
thank you. So I want to address a couple of things. And so, yes, part of downtown is in my district now. And I can't sit here and say that this has not been an ongoing problem. It has been. And it's a serious problem, and it's a problem that's getting worse. I know someone said that this is a business interest, and it is, but that's not my interest. Now, I do care about business, don't get me wrong, but it's not my primary interest. My primary interest is our youth. I don't know if anyone has seen some of the TikToks, and I'm not a TikToker. People have to send me the videos for me to actually open them up and look at them. But one of the things that scares me more than anything is when these incidents, whether it's a fight or even a shooting, but when these things take place, there are youth who I believe are not the instigators of the havoc that's being created, but they're standing around videoing because they want to put it on their TikTok. Do they get paid for it? I don't know, but that is what scares me. And if they do have enough sense to run, then there's stampeding going on, injuries. I mean, these are just the realities. We can't just say, oh, well, these things aren't happening and we just want to hope and wish for the best. We have to take some action. And anyone that knows me knows that I do not want law enforcement engaging with my community unless it is absolutely necessary. Absolutely necessary because of what we know we've experienced. In our equality indicators, the justice theme is the only theme of the 8 that has gotten worse every single year. The only thing that has gotten worse. And so that is certainly a concern of mine, and I would encourage everyone to go to our Facebook and watch the 10:30 a.m. meeting as we had more dialogue, all of us as counselors, that raised several issues. But one of my major concerns is that engagement and accountability. And so we have been informed, or at least I have been informed, that every interaction will be body camera. And I am saying publicly, if someone feels like their child has been I won't say even impacted, but have not been treated fairly in a fair way, then you need to report that. Report it to me. We really need a system in place in which to do that, and I believe the Terrence Crutcher Foundation is working on that, and I hope that they do that. But so that we can hold those officers accountable. The mayor has said if there's a need for accountability, we're going to make sure that happens. And so I'm going to trust that to be the case. But something has to be done It is not the solution. We are using this as a best practice from Bricktown in Oklahoma City. And yes, from day one, I also raised the issue that this is just going to push issues outside of downtown. And so there is so much work that we have to continue to do. But the congregating, I mean, I'm 53, well, I'll be 54 on Saturday, but even when I was in school, we know how it goes. If there's not someone standing around watching, there's no fight. Come on, that's just a reality. And so if we can use this as an opportunity to push those youth who are standing around with their phone, videoing, send them home or send them elsewhere, anywhere other than these huge, and man, how you can get 300 and 400 kids together, that didn't happen in my generation. But that is what's happening. They go on social media, a few people post something, we're going to gather here, they share it, and then boom, we got 400 or 500 youth in one spot. And that is not going to end well, especially if it's outdoors with no supervision of any adults. That's what's going on. So what can we do to address this issue? I also want to remind everybody, I don't care if it's March or October. This council can bring an issue, an ordinance to this body at any time. We can do it in 2 weeks. So just because that's in there, that's just saying that we have to address it then. But we can address it before then. And I'm here to tell you, if there's a need to address it before then, I'll be the first one to put it on the agenda, to do just that, to make those modifications, or to go back to the way it was, whatever the case may be. So that is certainly my promise. So again, I do sympathize with all businesses in our city, but my concern is not primarily of that. And you've already made the motion and I seconded, so I'm certainly amenable to that. I just want to start the ball rolling on how we can address the issue. And I'll be the first to say that was a mistake. Let's go back to the drawing board. But doing nothing is not acceptable. Because again, I'm seeing videos where kids are just standing around in harm's way, and it's almost like they don't even realize it. And they don't. Kids don't realize that you could die. They don't realize it. So those are basically my comments. And again, I just want to reiterate that we need to ensure that there's accountability, that every person that's engaged as we move forward with this is treated equally, fairly, and we need to make sure there are protocols in place to ensure that. And so that's what I'm here for. So thank you.
Thank you. Happy birthday in a few days. Councilor Bush.
Thank you, and thank you, Councilor Hall Harper, for your comments. As the oldest member on the city council, in age, well, I don't know, maybe. Would it surprise you that we've been having this conversation for a really long time? I used to be at the Crime Commission before it changed its name. We've had these discussions before. The need for parenting. I served at the state level, and we talked about this issue as well there too. I don't know how governing bodies can affect the home life and parenting. I mean, that's got to be done within the community, and it's definitely something that needs to happen. You know, it's no secret, I wasn't the best of teenagers. I remember my dad's curfews were based on my activity. So my curfew may have been 10:13 p.m. because he actually drove from the bowling alley to home and knew how long I had to get there. So he was a helicopter dad before there was such a thing. But he also knew that he was keeping me out of trouble and keeping me safe. As the counselor said, this curfew, these kids are standing around and filming and are doing whatever. It's not film, but you all get it. Thank you, because I'm old, so I use old terms. We're protecting them. We got to get them out of the way so we can start targeting those that are really harming our community. And that's what we're trying to do. I hope we continue this conversation. I hope it would be great if Tulsa could be the city upon the hill that others look at where we actually solve some of the issues. We know there's a lack of activities for kids to do. That's always been a thing, and there's definitely pockets in the city that have nothing for them to do. My kids who are grown now, you know, I'll be honest with you, they were out past the curfew that we already have on the books, and they got in trouble. And nothing serious, just curfew violation, but they decided to argue. And anyway, when the police called me about it, I would say, well, good, are you hauling them down? Because scare them straight, right? That was my philosophy. Like you said, whoop them behind them, and they'll, of course, they said, we wish we could do that, but we can't. But my point is, kids are going to be kids. We have an obligation to protect them. This ordinance can be amended at any time. I appreciate that, and we need to continue to have the conversation, but we also need to have the bigger systemic conversation about what we do, you know, with our youth. Where can they go? Safe places for them to congregate. I don't know the backstory behind that warehouse, but whoever owns that warehouse should be punished. How in the world would you ever allow 300 to 400 kids, 500 kids in one building? I think that's a fire hazard, probably. Code enforcement. So there you go. So there needs to be, I think we need to also look at some of those issues as we go forward with this. So I just wanted to give my 2 cents. I appreciate everybody's comments on this, and this is a starting point. We have a crisis. We've had a crisis. To our downtown friends who have said that, it's been a crisis, and we really need to focus in and solve this, because we keep talking about we want taxpayers and we want people to move here and we want economic growth. It's not going to happen if we just keep kicking the can down the road on this particular issue. So I encourage us to keep working on it, and thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Gilbert, and then Bingle.
First, I want to wish Councilor Hall Harper an early happy birthday. So I know I won't see you on Saturday, nothing personal, but anyhow, I totally agree with almost everything that has been said this evening. I voiced my concerns throughout the committee meeting earlier. I've been involved in this because I too attended the business meetings, especially the one at Arnie's, and I heard everything that all the business owners were saying. I too have received some of those TikTok videos, and they are scary. They are very scary. My main issue with this is to keep children safe. As I said earlier today, this is just the beginning. This is an ongoing conversation. This is not an end-all right here, right now, tonight. This is a continuous conversation that all of us need to have. We cannot ignore it anymore. We have to do something to keep these kids and everybody else that is going to restaurants downtown, that are going to the BOK, going to concerts, that are going to the Performing Arts Center to see events. I want them to feel safe. I want everyone to enjoy our downtown. We have worked so hard to improve our downtown. When I first got here on the city council in 2011, there was nothing downtown. Now, we have lots to enjoy, and I want to keep it that way, but I want to make sure that we keep it safe. So, Councilor Dr. Wright, I appreciate everything that you have said. I appreciate you bringing Councilor Bellis's concerns to the meeting this evening. I just want to go on record that after our meeting on Monday, I did reach out to her. I texted her saying, hey, sorry to bother you right now, but I was wondering if you want to be a co-author on the downtown curfew change. Her response, yes, I'm down. Does it have the sunset built in still? A mechanism for us to see how it is going, revisit it? Yes, on the sunset, it's March 31st. Her response, sounds good. Thanks so much for keeping it moving. My response, go enjoy your sweet baby boy. She reached out to me yesterday for the ordinance at 4:41. She reached out, said, for the ordinance, did the DTP, Downtown Tulsa Partnership, finish their survey? Did we get TPD data? My response, yes, we got TPD data. So I just want to go on record that the conversation has been had with her and had it. Okay, well, I did communicate, so thank you.
Counselor Bingle.
So I just want to go on record as saying this, I didn't see this as a punitive action against our youth. The issue for me specifically is our youth that, as Counselor Hall Harper eloquently articulated, is they're standing around, they're videoing. They're not actual participants in it. Having worked the fair as a deputy, these crowds can be hard to manage. Especially flash mobbing, is that still a thing? Is that what this kind of amounts to? Those are problematic, and it's usually two parties who have a beef, or a group of parties that have a beef, and those are dangerous for everybody involved, including law enforcement. They're not just dangerous for the bystanders and the parties involved, they're dangerous for everybody. People that aren't even involved, people that are just in proximity of it. The issue for me is that, as I said this morning, and I think all of my colleagues have definitely articulated, this issue of concern for me is if when you move a problem, that problem goes somewhere else. It's just like decommissioning encampments of homeless. That problem moves somewhere else. They obviously acknowledge that, so I don't take concern with that. But what's most alarming to me is that a teenager that is so young that they're in junior high school and they're stealing cars, and you have youth that are serial burglaries, do serial burglary. I'm just really concerned about our youth. I don't want to punish them. I don't want to restrict them. Mass punishment, like some of you said, mass punishment is not a great idea. It punishes only the folks that are law-abiding, like you said, sir. So I didn't see that from this perspective. I certainly don't want to restrict our youth from being able to go where they want to and do the things that they want to do. However, parents do need to parent. And as I was talking about the fair earlier, we do have parents who take and drop their kids off at the fair. They're young teenagers, and just drop them off and leave them to their own devices. And so there's problems, and so parents do need to parent. So I appreciate the work of all the counselors, and I think it was pretty impactful to me, especially that Counselor Hall Harper supported this. So, and I appreciate the discussion, the robust discussion in committee and today. So I certainly support the amendment.
Thank you, Counselor Bingle. One thing from my perspective, and I may ask a question of some of the business owners. This was literally an emergency situation, so it's rare for us to get any kind of advice from Tulsa Police Department and any kind of request saying, we really need your help on this. And when I was called into a meeting with the police chief and others as well from the police department, their focus was not solely on the teenagers who were coming down, maybe perpetrating the crimes, but also the bystanders as well. They just don't want innocent bystanders to get caught up in this. And as they were talking to us about their enforcement procedures, they continue to say, look, if you started at 9, we can start reminding people at 8. Hey, the curfew starts at 9. And their focus is on keeping people from creating groups once the group is formed, if it's too big, it takes lots of different police officers to come down and intercede to safely cause that group to disperse. So I listen to them just as we listen to Tulsa Fire Department about fireworks. You know, they say no fireworks on July 4th. That sounds kind of rough. You know, I mean, we are all kids. We want to do fireworks, but they have good reasons for causing us to continue that ordinance. Same thing with Tulsa Police Department. And I can't remember another instance where they've asked for us to invest ourselves in an emergency ordinance like this. It may have happened before, but in my 13 years, I can't remember it happening before. To the business owners, I don't know if Elliot is here, Mr. Kurtz is here, Mr. Bradford's here. Is most of the activity really focused in on Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays? And do you see this generally as a good move from a testing perspective? I don't want us to have some kind of activity on Monday, Tuesday, or Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday that we're just not aware of because we may not be down here as often. You can come up if you'd like. Yeah, just provide.
And
a
then can we
perspective.
call Brian?
Sure.
Also?
Yep.
So to that, I think it's a great start. Just doing Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we'll get some analytics, some data, and then get the TPD kind of spun up on how they're going to enforce this. That's been all of our concern is how are they actually going to be able to enforce this. So limiting it to 3 days, those are our high crime days anyway. Our securities are already plussed up. The weekdays, we can handle it ourselves. I'm not going to say I haven't had to mace a 16-year-old from trying to fight, but you know, those 3 days would go a long way, and that would give us time until the sunset clause goes into place, or you guys call this back in for us to actually come up with a further solution.
Okay. And one other question, it seems like we've taken care of July the 4th with this amendment. We still have Labor Day. I don't know if that's a real big holiday where lots of teens are going to show up, but obviously that runs over into a Monday.
It honestly it depends on the weather. It depends. I mean, there's so many factors that come into play. If it's really nice, they'll be out at the lakes. If it's not nice, they will come flood downtown.
Yep. What's that? Oh, I know, but so if we were trying to just do the curfew on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, we've left that one exposed. I was just going to Councilor Archie's previous comment where, yeah, July 3rd and July 4th just happened to be on Thursday and Friday. So we're covering it with the ordinance. Yes, sir.
From my perspective, I think that this is a great middle ground, looking at Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I did, to answer your direct question, Counselor, I received an email, and this was also sent to Counselor Bellis, even though she's on leave right now, from a very active downtown resident that's very engaged in a lot of our work, who says that the issues are not exclusive to Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and not exclusive to bar and entertainment district, that they're looking to go elsewhere as they are tired of screeching lime and bird scooters outside of their bedroom window at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, and not that is exclusive to youth by any means whatsoever. It's just a reiterating that problems are multitude. So to answer your question again, yes.
We'll blame it on Nick Doctor. What's that? Turn on your.
I'm curious to see what our police commissioner, Laurel Roberts, has to say about a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, just to loop in the police on this. If you'd like to come in, I mean, you've heard all this discussion.
Yep. Or you can send Major McCord. I know. You're too good of a friend.
Thank you, Council. I know that we discussed a little bit about potentially just the weekend, the Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Our biggest fear, especially over the summer months when there is not a school that kids have to wake up to, go to, there's a little bit more freedom, that there could be a shift in events or a shift by some of these businesses to a Tuesday night to attract the crowds that were causing the problem. And so that was why the suggestion was made for 7 days a week. I think Thursday, Friday, Saturday are the primary nights, the primary concerns for a lot of the businesses and bar owners. So potentially being open-minded to a potential shift, especially over the summer months. Like I said, when there's no accountability for waking up to go to school.
I have a question. Well, thank you. Thank you. So a lot of folks have been emailing me about enforcement. You know, we have ordinances on the books already, and some have said, well, why don't they enforce it? You know, why don't they enforce it? Will you just speak a moment about whatever passes tonight, whether it's 7 days, 5 days, 1 day, the commitment of our TPD to lawfully, respectfully, compassionately enforce the ordinances, the curfew ordinance that we would pass?
Yeah, so to speak to that, I believe this actually allows them a better opportunity to enforce the curfew. As it is now, one of the large topics of discussions, midnight, Friday, Saturday nights, the crowds are already too large. They're too big to engage. And so their efforts are focused more on the disturbances, the crowds, the drunken behavior, things like that. So lowering the curfew ordinance would allow them to actually have a little bit better enforcement to it. I can't remember who said it. Might have been Councilor Bengal who said at 8 o'clock, start warning folks, hey, curfew's going to be 9 o'clock. You need to finish up what you're doing, move out of downtown. And somebody else said also that, I believe it was one of the speakers, about law-abiding youth, law-abiding citizens are going to follow the rules. And so then we're left with a much smaller amount of folks that we have to deal with. I know the police department will lawfully, constitutionally use discretion and employ this ordinance, whatever it reads, as professionally as they do.
And body cameras?
Body cameras are on not just on curfew contacts, they are on every law enforcement action that's taken by every patrol officer in the field.
If someone feels like they're mistreated or stopped and questioned in a way they don't like, what would be the reporting mechanism? How would they go about reporting that?
The primary way of doing that, there's multiple ways. Primary way is to call your internal affairs at the Tulsa Police Department. Counselor Hall Harper, and I would assume that everybody would be open to those complaints as well. I assured the council in the 10:30 meeting that my position in the mayor's office is to have some oversight and some accountability and transparency to make sure that when these complaints surface, that they are dealt with fairly, consistently, and equitably. And so that is my pledge moving forward. They can call a supervisor to the scene at that time, one that's in the field. They can email anybody within TPD, and they could even email our office, and we will direct them in the right way.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Oh, no, you can go. Okay. I'm just going to finish with comments, and then Councilor Dutton has a comment. We were told during today's committee meeting that a measure of success is not more citations written. Tulsa Police Department doesn't want to write more citations, and they don't have the time to write citations. They really want to disperse these groups and not have these teens and the bystanders be in harm's way. So their hope is not to have to write citations or not to take anybody anywhere, but for them to do as they're being told and to abide by the law as well. Councilor Dutton.
Yeah, I just wanted to also say that if anybody wants to file complaints, we have a Department of Resilience and Equity that you can actually download the form and file the complaint, or you can come to City Hall and file a complaint as well. That's probably going to be your best option along with the others. I also just have a couple comments. That I appreciate everybody's commentary this evening. I am concerned that suddenly we're putting a concentration of officers in an area that what other areas in the city of Tulsa might be neglected and have to wait longer for response times with a concentration of officers in the IDL? And I don't have enough data about how the reasonable activities will transpire. I don't have enough data about move out downtown, out of downtown where? So I'm a hard no on going forward. That's just my comment. Thank you.
Any other council discussion? We have a motion and a second on the floor. Sure. Yeah, it's October 22nd, 25 as the sunset date at midnight. And it applies not to every single day of the week, but it's only Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. on the following day. And it has the emergency clause. Yeah, we already, yep.
That means that it will begin tomorrow.
If the mayor signs it tonight.
If the mayor signs it tonight, and the mayor is here.
Yep. Okay. Please call the roll. Sorry, it's just up here.
Counselor Dr. Wright?
Yes.
Counselor Lakin?
Yes.
Counselor Bush?
Yes.
Counselor Hall Harper?
Yes.
Counselor Archie?
Yes.
Counselor Dutton?
No.
Counselor Gilbert?
Yes.
Counselor Bengal?
Yes.
Item passes. Thank you. With the emergency clause, the following items in this section of the agenda will not be read aloud, and without objection, items 6B through E will be forwarded to the next council meeting for action. 7, ordinances second reading. A is a rezoning ordinance for AG to IM at about 56th Street North and North 145th. B is a rezoning ordinance from IL to AG at about the northeast corner of East Apache and 129th East. C is a rezoning ordinance from OL to RS1 to RS with an ODP at about the southwest corner of East 41st and South Harvard. And D, ordinance amending Title 55 relating to property maintenance code, structure and premises standards, exterior property areas, and other things. And E is an ordinance amending Title 24, Chapter 1, Section 103 relating to nuisances affecting peace and safety, specifically private roadways, privately maintained streets, service roads, access roads, and similar areas. Do we have any speakers on these items?
We have no speakers.
Any council discussion?
Move to approve. Where are we?
7.
Yeah, move to approve item 7A through E with the emergency clause on 7E.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Counselor Dr. Wright?
Yeah.
Counselor Lakin?
Yes.
Counselor Bush?
Yes.
Counselor Hall Harper?
Yes.
Counselor Archie?
Yes.
Counselor Dutton?
Yes.
Counselor Gilbert?
Yes.
Counselor Bengal?
Yes.
7A through E are approved with the emergency clause on 7E. 8 council items. Any announcements from councilors?
One.
Sure.
Speaking of the 4th of July, as you heard Councilor Lakin say, we have ordinances that restrict the use of fireworks in the city of Tulsa. I know a lot of you want to do sparklers and things. That's actually not allowed in the city of Tulsa. I know it can be confusing for those of you in my community who right across the street from our district has a whole store that sells them, but that's the city of Bixby. So wherever you're getting your fireworks, you can check with those municipalities how you can go about putting them off in those municipalities. But in the city of the Tulsa, it's not allowed. We have several events taking place across Green Country, and we encourage you to get out and patronize those and keep it safe and sane. If you do come across somebody who is using fireworks, if you're going to file a complaint and it's not an emergency life or death situation, please use the non-emergency line to do that and be willing to sign the citation. Otherwise, our officers and our firefighters cannot take action. If you do see an actual emergency, an injury, or a fire, call 911 and be as specific as possible so that they can get there as quickly as possible. It will be a busy weekend because of how it aligns to a long weekend. And please just exercise caution and follow the law. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Archie.
Hey, so tomorrow evening, June 26th, 2025, at 6:30 p.m., there's a large group of us going to meet at Vernon AME Church, Historic Vernon. Representatives from TPS, from Youth Services, will be there along with myself and Mayor Nichols, to talk about the systemic work that needs to be done to address violence in the community. And so what we just passed tonight, somebody said it's a Band-Aid. No, it's not even a Band-Aid. It's what needs to happen is a lot more work, a lot more collaboration and community involvement. And one of the conversations we're having will be tomorrow night at Vernon AME Church at 6:30. So you can come, and please feel free to bring all of your ideas, and we're going to listen. And as we need to make amendments and use the full force of government to enact change, more than willing to do that. So come on out tomorrow night.
Thank you. Thank you, Counselor Archie. B, travel donation from the Empowerment Network of $400 for Counselor Paul Harper. I do not know why I cannot say that. To travel to Omaha, Nebraska. Do we have any speakers?
We have 2 speakers, James and Bernice Alexander.
Good evening once again, and everyone in the audience. This
evening.
is very interesting to me that Ms. Harper is traveling around the country talking about improvements to the different areas that are featured in this conference. When Tulsa has North Tulsa, that is an entitlement area set up by the federal government. I'm so tired of talking about this, that the city of Tulsa is stealing our money, waste, fraud, and abuse. And she's going around the country talking, I don't know if she's talking, I'm not going to say that. She's going around the country representing Tulsa, and Tulsa, North Tulsa, is not going to even be the same. The city of Tulsa's idea is to move white people into that area, put them in those new homes built for black people, and anybody that wants to find out more, come see me. I got the whole story. I've been working at this since 1993, so I know the whole story. We have traveled all over this area, finding out what's going on, talking to people from HUD, talking to people from the Department of Justice. They just got in touch with me not too long ago about how we're being treated in Tulsa. So if anybody said I'm standing up here talking and just to be seen, I don't care nothing about that. I'd rather be doing something else. I got a lot of things I can do. But we're going to have to do right with North Tulsa. Tulsa as a whole is not going to prosper as it should. You hear me? Tulsa is not going to prosper as it should as long as North Tulsa doesn't get its fair representation and money and whatever else comes that way.
Thank you. Okay. Thanks, Ms. Bernice. Any council discussion? Sir.
Yeah, I'd like to vote against this potentially because she didn't bring me back a Runza from Nebraska.
Oh, man.
But this is already passed, so I
Next
guess I'm
time.
out of luck.
Anything
Make
else?
that 2 Runzas. I just, before I make the motion, I want to say I do appreciate that Councilor Harper represents us so well in this city and around the country. The Empowerment Network in Omaha has, I encourage people to look at what they're doing for violence intervention for youth specifically. We could learn a lot from it. And I actually got to attend this conference several years ago and learned a lot about how much Omaha is like Tulsa in demographic, politically, geographically, how it's set up, and some of the really great work and policy work that they're doing. So I'm glad that she got a donation to go. And I would like to move to approve item 8B.
Second. Please call the roll.
Counselor Dr. Wright?
Yes.
Counselor Lakin?
Yes.
Counselor Bush?
Yes.
Counselor Archie?
Yes.
Counselor Dutton?
Who are you looking for?
Counselor Dutton.
There you go.
You.
Yes, sorry.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Late to the game.
Counselor Gilbert?
Yes.
Counselor Bengal?
Yes.
Item passes. 9, there are no new business items. 10, there are no appeals. 11, hearing of public comments. This concludes the televised portion of our meeting. Per council rules, no